I'm just gonna wait a few minutes for everyone to join because I know it takes some time with the Eventbrite and the Google trying to get the Zoom link from Eventbrite sometimes can be a little bit confusing. So I'm just gonna wait a few minutes for everyone. But anyone who's here already, feel free to tap in the chat where you are from, where you're tuning in from. And we will just, yeah, I'll probably wait maybe like 2 or 3 minutes and just see who logs on and who joins us. But I am so excited to be here and so excited to just know that you guys have hopped on here on a Sunday evening to join me. So we will get started in a few minutes. But like I said, I'm just going to wait a little bit longer and just to make sure that there's no one who is struggling to get on and join us. So I'm just going to check my Instagram as well because sometimes I get some messages from people about them logging on, and then we will get started. How is everyone feeling this evening? Hi to everyone who is joining. I've just said that I'm just going to wait a few minutes just to make sure that people have some time to log on because it's not that obvious with the Eventbrite link that the Zoom link is actually sent through Eventbrite. So yeah, just to let everyone know, if you don't want to have your camera on, you do not need to turn it on, but you can have it on if you want to. So the only interaction really required from you during the workshop is maybe just typing into the chat, but even that you don't have to do if you don't want to. If you want to just like sit back and just settle in, then you can do that. So yeah, I'm just going to wait just a couple more minutes and just see who else logs on. I'll give people until like 6:05 and then we'll get started and we'll dive in, which I'm really, really excited to get into this work with you. So excited. And if you want to pop in the chat and let me know whereabouts in the world you are, that would be amazing. I love knowing where everyone's tuning in from. I'm in London, so I don't know if anyone else is in the UK. Somerset, UK. Barbados, my goodness. What time is it in Barbados? In Kent, amazing. 2 p.m. in Barbados. Oh my goodness. Well, I really appreciate you jumping on in the middle of your day, but it's much nicer there than it is in the UK at the moment. And Peterborough. Okay. So yeah, I'm just going to give it another minute and then I will get started. To anyone who's just joining, we're just waiting basically for a few minutes just to give everyone some time to log on, and just sharing where we all are in the world. So if you want to pop in the chat where you are, then please do. Okay, actually going to be sharing my screen with you, so hopefully I can work out how to do that. Okay, so I think it'll be time for us to get started. So I have put this in the calendar for an hour. We may overrun a little bit because parts of the workshop that I do are kind of ad lib, as it really depends on who shows up as to what comes through, especially when it comes to energetics. Also, just as a little disclaimer, to be completely honest with you, I have not run through this workshop in its entirety, so I don't actually know how long it's going to take. So if we do overrun and you have to go after the hour, then I will be sending out the replay and you'll still be able to watch the whole thing. So don't worry if you have to log off after an hour, you will definitely still be able to get access to the whole thing. So, yeah, before we get started, I just want everyone to just shake out their hands and shake out their shoulders and just really just kind of shake out the day, shake out the weekend, the experiences, everything that's happened. Like, literally, just shake it out and just release it. And then we're just going to do a quick breathing exercise, which will just really help regulate us, calm our nervous systems, and become a bit more grounded before we step into everything. So we're going to breathe in for 6 and then hold the breath for 2 and then breathe out for 8 through our mouths. So breathe in for 6 with me, hold for 2, and then breathe out your mouth. And then breathe in again for 6. Hold for 2. And then breathe out for 8. And one more time, breathe in for 6. Hold for 2. And breathe out for 8. So before we really get stuck into everything, I just want to celebrate each and every one of you for showing up here on your Sunday to do this work. And I obviously do not know your individual addiction stories specifically, but showing up because you desire to change is massive. And people watching the replay, you are also still showing up. You're sitting here ready to make a change and dedicate time to yourself to change. And that is huge in itself. So I really just want to celebrate everyone who is here right now for showing up. And for some of you, there may even have been a little bit of resistance to showing up. Perhaps you had that little voice in your head that was like, it's a free workshop. I don't really need to go. But you decided to come anyway. And that is really massive. So I'm really, really celebrating you for that. I'm a big believer that we are drawn to certain people because of their energetic frequency. And I think that every person who is a teacher or a coach or someone that you are drawn to learn from is because that person has a specific medicine that resonates with your soul. And there's a reason that you are drawn to the work that I'm doing. And so I'm really, really excited to share it with you. As I said before, I don't obviously know where you're at on your journey right now. And you'll all be at different stages and you all have different things that you're dealing with. But what we do know is that you're ready to change because you are here. So a lot of you may have tried therapy or other modalities like hypnosis or whatever you might have gone into. Any of you who may have issues with drugs and alcohol, you might even have gone to rehab or gone to AA meetings or NA meetings. And I'd hazard a guess that whatever you have tried so far hasn't worked for you. And that's why you're here, because you're willing to try something different. And I'm really excited that you have trusted your intuition and decided to join this workshop today, because I honestly know that you're going to experience immense change after today. Okay. So the only thing that I ask of you during this workshop is just to come with an open mind. Some of the things that I talk about, you might not have heard before, and the concepts as well may be a little out there. So I'm obviously not a doctor or a medical professional, but I am a certified coach. And most of what I teach is based on my own experience having been an addict. So if any point you notice a voice saying something like, oh, like that wouldn't work for me, or that only worked for her because of XYZ, whatever reason you come up with, just know that that voice is the part of you that is currently keeping you stuck. Okay. And it's actually great if it does come up because it's being brought to the surface. So if that happens during the workshop, I really just encourage you to just stick it out until the end, because having that resistance is a sign that you are open to change and that you are seeking change. And that little voice is really just trying to keep you safe. But the fact that it's coming up means that it's revealing itself, which is great because we can't change what we cannot see. So if you have that experience doing this workshop, then don't worry and just stick with it, because I promise you, change is coming. So I'm just going to share my screen with you. Just give me a moment to do that. So I've got a little presentation for you. Okay, let me just check. Can you all see my screen? Hopefully you can. Let me know if you can't. Just check the chat to make sure.
Yeah, you can see it.
Okay, perfect. Amazing. Thank you. Okay. So, for those of you who don't know me, I am Charlotte. I am a certified holistic coach. I'm an EFT practitioner. I'm a Reiki master and an energy healer, and I'm also a recovered crystal meth addict. So I have obviously got my own personal experience with addiction, and addiction is what I specialize in when it comes to my coaching. So when I talk about holistic coaching, what I mean is that I'm looking at the mind, the body, and the soul of a person when working with them. I'm not just looking at one part and ignoring the others. So I use mindset work, I use energetics, and I also use somatic work, which means anything to do with the body. So today we are here to talk about my favorite topic, which is addiction. And if there's one thing that I'd love for you to take away from today, it's that you are not powerless to your addiction. Okay. You are so powerful. And that is the one thing that I really, really want you to be able to take away from today. So, as I mentioned before, I was a crystal meth addict for 4 years. And I'm not going to go into the full ins and outs of my story because I really want us to get stuck into the work. But I just want to give you a bit of a summary. So, I broke up with my fiance. This was in 2015. Sorry, I don't know why this is showing everyone. I'm trying to make it just show me, but it just is showing everyone. Can you see me, or when I click that, it shows someone else? I don't know how to change that. Is that covering the screen, guys? Can you let me know?
I just see you and then the slide.
Okay, that's perfect. That's all we need. Okay, good. For me, it's like showing something completely differently. So let me just ignore that in that case. It must be my own individual thing. Right, back to it. So, as I mentioned, yeah, I was a crystal meth addict for 4 years. In 2015, I broke up with my fiance when we were living in Australia. And I rebounded into a relationship with someone who was a highly functioning cocaine addict. And I had never touched drugs before. But because I was in such a low place with my mental health, I started using drugs with him and things spiraled really quickly. I did actually start a business when I was an addict, which was pretty successful. And I had 11 people working for me at one point. But at the other end of what happened to me, I was homeless. I was a gambling addict. I lived in a crack den. I was physically assaulted by my partner, financially abused. I experienced extremely toxic relationships. I was surrounded by gang members, drug dealers, got myself in trouble with the police. Like a lot of things happened. I was using meth for 2 to 3 years every day. I used heroin, I used crack cocaine. I had several suicide attempts, and I would end up in hospital and not really know how I'd gotten there. So, I don't know what your life looks like right now or the specific addiction that you are dealing with. But when I say that I've been through it, I really have been through it, and I get it from both ends of the spectrum. Like, I know what it's like to try and hold everything together and have this thing that's like hanging over you that you wish wasn't. Maybe it's a shameful secret, maybe it's not a secret, but you just wish it wasn't there. But I also know what it's like to lose everything and be at rock bottom. So, if you do want to hear a bit more about my story in depth, I've got a podcast called Game Changer, which has one season at the moment, but I'm about to record season two, which is really, really exciting. But I share my story in a lot more depth on the podcast. So, that's something that you can dive into if you want to know more. So, that aside, in September 2020, everything changed for me and I became drug free without any outside support. So I didn't go to rehab, I didn't go to therapy. I pieced everything together myself and worked out what I needed to do in order to change my life. And I did it, and I am still drug free and very happy today. And I know without a shadow of a doubt that this is my purpose on this earth, to support people out of addiction and just to show them what they're truly capable of. Because the truth is, if I can do this, if I can change my life, then so can you. I'm not smarter than you. I'm not more qualified than you. Like, anyone can do this. And that's what excites me so much about it. So today we're going to go through the 3 pillars that I use with my one-on-one clients. So this really gives you a taste of what it's like to work with me. And I'm going to give you some examples of how these pillars specifically supported me out of addiction. So let's dive in. The first pillar is challenging the narrative. And this for me was the key to changing my life completely. And today we're going to look at this in 2 parts. But before we do that, I want to show you this thought model. So the thought model is really, really interesting and shows us how our thoughts create our reality. So you start with a thought, and then that creates your feelings. And then your feelings create your actions create your results, and then your results create your beliefs, and then your beliefs drive your thoughts. So if you wanted to have a look at this in action, we could think of this like, I have a thought which is, I'm unlovable. Okay, that's my thought. And feeling wise, that makes me feel really shit and it makes me feel worthless, and it makes me have really low self-confidence as well. And then because I feel really shit and worthless and have low self-confidence, I then start relationships with men who don't treat me very well. And because they don't treat me very well, I then take this as proof that I'm unlovable. And then the original thought that I've had of I'm unlovable becomes a belief. And the longer that we stay stuck in this loop, the more cemented the beliefs become. So, in psychology, you can think of this as the self fulfilling prophecy, which is defined as a false definition of the situation, evoking a behavior which makes the originally false conception come true. So, basically, what we think and what we believe impacts our behavior, and our behavior can then cause these false beliefs to appear true to us, because we're basically just going out there acting out these thoughts and beliefs, and then every time something happens we're like, oh, like I knew that was true, even though it actually probably isn't true, but it's just that you're going about this self-fulfilling prophecy and really just making it your reality. So, the first part that we're going to look at is challenging the narrative around addiction. So, addiction itself is highly stigmatized by society. And I think even the word itself really holds quite a lot of heaviness to it. I did a quick Google search for addiction, and here are some of the things that I found. So, I want you to comment yes in the chat if you agree with any of these things or you've heard any of these things before. Okay. So, addiction is a disease. Addicts will do anything for another hit. Addicts are selfish. Addicts are incapable of looking after themselves. Addiction is hard to beat. Once an addict, always an addict. One hit is all it takes. So I want you to think about the societal concepts and norms when it comes to addiction. And how many of these things do you believe to be true? And this is where it's really worth starting to ask yourself, like, is this true? Because these are just things that like generally everyone thinks about addiction. Now, I personally don't think these things are true, and I'm sure some of you don't think these things are true either. But this is the kind of societal norm. This is the stories. This is the programming around addiction that's just like in media, in television, like in the newspapers, like it's around us. So even if we maybe think, like maybe that's not true, subconsciously, it does actually have an impact on how we would react to being labeled as an addict. I hope that makes sense. Okay. So, one example of this actually is that the whole concept of one hit is all it takes. And I remember being taught this when I was at school. And I genuinely like grew up thinking that that was true. I was like, oh my goodness, yeah, like if you touch a drug, like you'll become an addict. This was really prevalent, I think, in the 80s and 90s. And then, yeah, sort of 90s, like early 2000s, that was what we were always taught at school. It's like one hit is all it takes. Like if you touch a drug, like your brain will be scrambled. There was adverts on TV about it. Like it was, that was the programming that was around addiction. But then when I became an addict, I realized that that was actually complete bullshit. There is a reason that I can go shopping and not overspend, but someone else can't. There's a reason that I took drugs and I ended up homeless and in a crack den, and other people do not. So there's so many of these narratives that are around that really are not necessarily true, but that's what the societal norms and concepts are. And there is always an exception to every rule. And so I would always just say, why can't that exception be you? Why can't it? So now I'm going to challenge the narrative for a moment and just ask you to think about what it would be like if we lived in a world where that wasn't the narrative. Like, what if I told you that this was the narrative around addiction instead? Addiction is not really a thing. Everyone is an addict in some shape or form. Addiction is a choice. Addiction is easy to break away from. Addicts are just people dealing with difficult emotions. Addiction is just a phase of life. Addiction is something that happens before you have a huge breakthrough and discover who you truly are. Now, I'm not saying that any of these things are necessarily true. And for some people to hear things like that, it's quite triggering because it is literally the opposite of what we're told about addiction. But what I'm trying to point out to you is that your perception and beliefs about things completely change your response to them. And this is how two people can live in the exact same world and have two completely different experiences of the same thing. It's all about perception and belief. So when I was an addict, a turning point for me was becoming so deluded about addiction that it completely lost its power over me. I started to tell myself, I don't believe in addiction. Like genuinely, that's what I was saying to myself. Had been using crystal meth for 4 years. Had lost everything. I was in living in crack den, and I was like, I don't believe in addiction anymore. And I just started to brainwash myself. I thought, if I don't believe in addiction, then I can't be an addict, can I? And I find this concept really, really interesting because I was reading a book by someone called Grant Cardone recently. And he has a book called Be Obsessed or Be Average. And he was a drug addict for 9 years. He's now a really successful entrepreneur. He has 16 successful businesses and he's a multimillionaire. And he says addiction is just obsession aimed at the wrong thing. And that he has never met a successful entrepreneur who wasn't obsessed with success. So he says obsession is not a deficit or a character defect, it's actually a gift. And it really got me thinking about this concept of like, holy shit, like maybe what we think about addiction is just completely wrong. Like, what if your addiction was actually a superpower just waiting to be unlocked? But because of what society tells us about addiction, we are immediately filled with like shame, guilt, and a lack of self belief. Or what if addiction was your greatest gift? Think of it as an innate desire to be obsessed with something. But because of your trauma, because of your limiting beliefs, and all the shit that's happened to you in your life, you become obsessed with the wrong thing. What if addiction is just evidence that, unlike a lot of people, you have the capacity to go all in on something? And it is literally your soul desperately seeking this thing that it really wants to be obsessed with, but you keep latching onto the wrong thing just because of all the shit that you've gone through in your life, right? Imagine if you could redirect all of your energy, all of the energy that you pour into your addiction towards something that would change your life for the better. Be that your business or self development, being the best version of you, parenting, running a marathon, creating art, whatever it might be, right? Like the list is actually endless. And there is always an exception to every rule. And why can't that be you? Like, honestly, why can't that be you? That's what I told myself when I overcame the drug addiction. I was like, but why not? Like, why can't this be true? If I believe it, then why can't it be true? Because if you can change your paradigm, you can completely change your life. That is fact. Okay. The second part of challenging the narrative is challenging the narrative that you have about yourself. So the labels that we put on ourselves become a self-fulfilling prophecy. So I want you to think about, what do you believe about yourself and what labels do you put upon yourself? You will notice that I no longer refer to myself as clean because I don't like the connotation that addicts are dirty. So I have changed my language around it, and I always say that I've become drug free. I also don't use the term in recovery. I will always say that I am recovered. And this is personally one of the reasons why the Narcotics Anonymous groups never really resonated with me, because I found it really strange to go to a meeting and constantly reaffirm, hi, I'm Charlotte, I'm an addict. Charlotte addict, Charlotte addict, like every time you're speaking. It felt very weird and disempowering to me. So I want you to really think about this. I want you to think about how you behave, how you let other people treat you, and how you treat other people. And this isn't to shame you in any way, it's to find the evidence of what you believe about yourself. Because the way that we act reveals our subconscious beliefs about ourselves. So, for example, if you are spending all of your money on drugs, alcohol, shopping, gambling, to the point that you can't afford to pay rent or your bills, what does that mean that you believe about yourself? If you are smoking and it's having a detrimental effect on your health, what does that mean that you believe about yourself? With the concept of spending money on things to the point that you can't share, you can't pay your rent or your bills, maybe that means that you believe you can't support yourself. Maybe you believe you can't take care of yourself. Maybe it means that you feel like you don't deserve to be taken care of, or you don't deserve to be safe. If you're in a toxic relationship and your partner keeps cheating on you and you just accept it, or maybe you keep cheating on your partner, what does that mean that you believe about yourself? And remember that your beliefs are not true. But due to self fulfilling prophecy, you will behave in a way that proves your beliefs are correct. So if you believe that you are a piece of shit, you will behave like a piece of shit, and then you'll believe you're a piece of shit. That's literally how it works. So if you believe that you are a kind, considerate, loving person who, and this is the key, is worthy of a beautiful life, then you will behave in a way and that will draw in the experience of a beautiful life towards you. And this is just psychology. It's the way our brains work. We're always looking to be right. So we will want to constantly prove ourselves right. So for me personally, another big turning point of becoming drug free was that I began to notice the voice in my head, the voice that called me a stupid fucking bitch for the most ridiculous things like stubbing my toe or dropping something on the floor. And I noticed that the way that I let other people treat me was actually really ridiculous. I realized I was a bit of a pushover and a bit of a people pleaser, and I would go out of my way to do things for other people to my own detriment. So once you uncover the beliefs and the thoughts that you have around your addiction, whatever it might be, then you can start challenging the beliefs and challenging the narrative. The next pillar is all about creating a new identity. So today we're actually going to do this through a visualization exercise. And visualization is an extremely powerful tool to creating a new identity. The more that you visualize where you're going and the person that you desire to become, the more that your brain will then look for evidence and opportunities that align with the vision that you have. So I want you to just close your eyes if that feels comfortable for you. And if not, then just slightly close them so that your vision isn't focused on anything. And we're just going to do the same breathing exercise that we did at the start. Okay. So we're going to breathe in for 6, we're going to hold for 2, and then breathe out for 8. So with your eyes closed, breathe in for 6, hold, and breathe out through your mouth. Breathe in for 6, hold, and breathe out for 8. And last one, breathe in for 6, hold, and breathe out for 8. Now I want you to imagine a white light above your head, making its way down through your body. And as it makes its way down, you're just going to relax more and more. So imagine it going past your forehead, past your eyes, your jaw, your neck, your shoulders, your chest, your belly, your hips, down your legs and into your feet. And now imagine a golden light coming from the center of the earth all the way up through your feet, up through your entire body, right to the top of your head. Now, I want you to imagine that you're standing in front of a big door and really look at the door. Like, what color is it? What is it made out of? What does the handle look like? And imagine your hand now reaching for the handle to open it. And as you open it and step through, you feel yourself surrounded by white light. And you come face to face with your future self. And this is the person that you desire to become. They are no longer bound to this addiction that you have. They are completely free and living a happy and fulfilling life. And I want you to look at them. What are they wearing? What colors are their clothes? How do they hold themselves? Take in all the details. And I want you to step forward and take both of their hands in yours and really imagine yourself becoming this future version of you while I ask you the following questions. How do you feel as the future version of you? And I want you to really connect with the emotions that are coming through. And perhaps a little smile forms on your face as you feel the emotions of your future self. How are they feeling? What thoughts do they have? What does this future version of you do each day? And I want you to really visualize the daily routine of your future self. Where are they? What are they doing? How are they behaving? Really see the world through their eyes, the places they're going to, the people they're spending time with, what they're putting into their body, how they're moving their body. How do they spend their spare time? Like, really connect with that and visualize and feel the emotions and keep connecting and feeling into this. The more you can feel it emotionally, the more you will connect with it. And now imagine coming back face to face with the future version of you. And you're still holding hands, so let their hands go. And just look at them. Because that person is you. And the reason you were able to connect with them is because they already exist. And you are already in the process of becoming them. Now go back through the door and close it behind you. And just put one hand on your heart and one hand on your belly. And take a deep breath in and out through your mouth. And open your eyes. Welcome back. Does anybody want to share some of the emotions that they connected with in the chat? And share how you feel now having connected with that person. I would love to know. So, visualization is a very powerful tool. And I would really, really recommend that you do this practice every morning. So we've got feelings of safety and peace, strength and clarity. So beautiful. Happy, loved, at peace. Beautiful. I want so much to be her all the time. It's like, it's really powerful stepping into that emotional space. Encouraged. I was emotional to start with, and then I had feelings of happiness and love. Yeah, and it actually is really, really emotional coming face to face with your future self, because if you're not where you would like to be right now, it can be really emotional because you realize your potential. That's actually what it's like, you coming face to face with your own potential. It's like, holy shit, like that is actually me. That's who that I can be that person. That person already exists. I mean, time does not exist. That's actually proven by science, right? We just experience time in the present moment, but actually the past, the present, the future are all happening at once. So that version of you already exists. It's not some sort of like daydream. It's like actually is a real person that exists on a different timeline. We just aren't experiencing that right now, but we can. And the more that we visualize and connect with that person, the quicker we close the gap between like the here and now and that future version. We can sort of close the, I can't remember the expression, but you can just close that time and get there faster. Loved, confident, and very peaceful. Yeah, it's like so beautiful and so amazing. And I'm so pleased that that's what you were all able to connect with. I actually spend 20 minutes visualizing every morning, and it genuinely completely changes my reality on a daily basis. So I would highly recommend it. It's one of the quickest ways to change your life is to step into that future version and connect with them emotionally. Okay, so the third and final pillar that we're going to talk about is embodiment. And this is so, so crucial to changing your life, because you can do all the mindset work that you want to do, you can do all the energy healing, but if you are not embodied, then you won't see any change. So the actual definition of embody means to become an expression of something, which I actually think is so beautiful. It's like, I am becoming an expression of whatever it is. And right now, you are just embodied as someone who has become the expression of a person with addictive habits. And what we're looking to do is for you to become an expression of someone who isn't bothered by this addiction anymore. Like it's just going to be so irrelevant to you that it's just not even part of your identity anymore. So I want you to think about the person that you are becoming, the one that you just connected with in your visualization. And I want you to write down 3 tangible physical habits that this person has that you currently do not. So, whilst you're having a little think about these, I'm going to tell you a little story about how this relates to my own journey out of addiction. So, when I was coming off the drugs, I invented something called week cab, where for a week, I decided, and also bear in mind, I didn't know about embodiment back then, but I decided to embody all these new habits of the person that I wanted to become. So for me, in active addiction, I was not taking care of myself at all. Like I wasn't eating every day. I like if I did eat, it tended to just be pure sugar, like a lot of lollies, and lollies is Australian, but by lollies I mean sweets, like literally bags of sweets, a lot of McDonald's, really weirdly a lot of egg sandwiches from 7-Eleven. Don't know why. But I never cooked, barely ate. I wasn't showering every day. I definitely wasn't sleeping every night. I was probably sleeping like every other night. And one thing about not sleeping every night means that you don't really have a routine. So you kind of lose track of like what you've done and what you haven't done. Like I wasn't brushing my teeth every night or every day because like I didn't know what, like when was the last time I did that? I don't know. Because like, did I go to bed and wake up? No, weird. So anyway, I created this thing that I decided to call week cab, where for 1 week, I just decided to act completely differently. And I actually messaged all of the people that I was connected to who I used to take drugs with. And I just was like, hey guys, I'm going offline for a week, but I'll speak to you when I'm back. And I didn't tell them what I was doing. I was just like, I'm not going to be around, like I'm going away. I mean, I wasn't going anywhere, but I just cut myself off from certain people. And then for that week, every single day, I woke up at 7 a.m. I showered, I put on makeup, which again, I was barely doing when I was an addict. I ate breakfast, I went for walks, I sorted out my belongings, I cooked myself nutritious meals for dinner, I meditated, I prayed, and then I would shower again. I actually became really obsessed with showering. I think I was showering like 2 or 3 times a day. And I'd put on cute PJs and like read a book and then get an early night. And I did this for 7 days over and over and over again. And I changed the way that I was dressing. I started dressing like someone who gave a shit about herself. I painted my nails, I dyed my hair. I just started embodying the woman that I desired to become, even though I was so far from her. Like I was a mess at this point. But just for that week, I was like, no, I'm just going to do this over and over and over again. And that was a real turning point for me. Like at the end of that week, I at the start of that week, I threw my drugs in the bin. And by the end of that week, I was like done. I had no desire actually to use drugs again. It was like I completely just shifted into this new identity and personality through that repetitive like action taking every single day. Obviously, this is combined with other things too, but that was a really, really big turning point. So I want you to think about 3 things that your future self is currently doing that you currently do not do. So it could be anything. It could be like once a week, I take myself out on a coffee date. It could be reading books. It could be listening to podcasts, going for a walk, going to the gym, yoga. These can be really simple things like the things that I was doing, like showering every day and cooking for myself every day. Or they could be other things like turning your phone off at 9 p.m. each night, or eating something in place of sugar, whatever it is. Like, I just want you to think about the habits and behaviors of your future self, and 3 things that you can start to embody this week. So, doesn't matter if they're super simple or super small, as long as they align with the habits of that future self, that's what I want you to be thinking about. So, we've spoken about quite a lot of stuff today, and I want to give you some homework for this week. Because I want to be really honest with you guys, okay? Change isn't actually difficult. This is like what we're always told. Oh, it's so hard. It's so hard. It's actually not hard. Change is not actually difficult. It's the consistency that is the hard part. Like the actual actions are not that difficult. It's not that difficult to like get up and go for a walk. Like that's not actually a hard thing to do, right? But it's the consistency that makes it difficult. So, this week, this is what I would like you to do. Number 1, challenge the narrative that you have around your addiction and around yourself. And if you start to pick up on your thoughts, I want you to reframe them. So if you hear yourself saying, I'm a stupid bitch, I want you to say out loud, if possible, like if there's no one else around, I'm not a stupid bitch. I'm actually trying my best. I'm not a fucking idiot. I'm changing my life. Like whatever that voice is saying to you, literally fight back at it. Talk back to it as if it was a human being that was chatting shit to you. Don't be like, oh, like, be like, what the fuck? Like, stop being such a cunt. Excuse my Australian slang. And like, stop attacking me. I'm not. I'm actually trying my best. So leave me alone. I want you to stand up to that voice in your head and reframe everything that it is throwing at you. Number 2, take the time to visualize and connect with your future self. And I really, really want you to feel the emotions that your future self feels. That is the key, is like tapping into that. And you've already done the visualization exercise. So all you have to do is go back to that door. Go to the door, open the door, connect with your future self, hold their hands, and just feel the emotions. Like, ask them, show me, like, what do you feel? Who are you? What do you do each day? Like, I want to know. I want to get to know you so well that I become you, right? Every day, every morning, do that. And the 3rd, embody the habits of your future self. So the things that we were just speaking about. So, how are we doing for time? Oh, I'm actually on time. I'm excited. Before we finish this workshop, we're going to do a little energy work, which is my absolute favorite. I love energy work so much. If you're new to this, don't worry. Just listen to my voice, see what comes up, and just be open to it. You might feel like a weight is being lifted off of you, or you might actually feel nothing at all. It doesn't matter if you don't feel anything, because I'm going to be doing the work for you on an energetic level. It's just really important that we work on the energetic part of you as well as the mind and the body. And this is what you call the holistic work: mind, body, soul. This is the soul part, the energy part. It's the part that you cannot see. And most often with my clients, I find that the missing piece is usually embodiment or energy work. Because if you go to therapy or counseling or anything like that, they will do a lot of mindset work with you, which is so great. But we need the embodiment and the energy work too for a long lasting transformation. So just settle in, close your eyes if that's comfortable for you, and just take a nice deep breath. And I'm just going to place a field of protection around you. And you don't have to do anything, but if you would like to, then just visualize a white ball of light all around you. You are fully grounded and you are safe. I'm also going to cleanse, clear, and release anything from your energy field that is currently holding you back and preventing you from stepping fully into your power. So, any negative or offensive energies that do not belong to you, any past traumas that have a grip on you are now being cleansed, cleared, and released from your system, mind, body, and soul. Just keep breathing. Now, I want you to just take a minute and think about the reason that you came here today. The thing that is keeping you stuck. The addiction, the habit, whatever it is. And I want you to feel where this lives in your body. Where is this in your body? Whatever you first think of is the answer. So focus on it. Focus on that part of your body. Does it have a color? Does it have a shape? Does it have a texture even? And I just want you to take your hands and cup them together in front of you. And I want you to imagine this thing that is keeping you stuck leaving your body, wherever it is, and moving into your cupped hands instead. And I want you to say out loud, if you can. If you can't say it out loud, just say it in your head. Say to this energy that is now in your hands, thank you for keeping me safe. Thank you for trying to protect me. But it's now time for me to let you go. It's time for me to say goodbye. And I want you to imagine a bright blue hand coming down from the sky and picking up that energy from your hands and taking it away from you. Now take a deep breath. Put your hand over your heart and say to yourself, I am ready to step into the future version of me. Now, open your eyes. How do you feel? if anybody would like to share their experiences, then please type them in the chat. You feel lighter. I love that so much. Much lighter. Sometimes we don't even know what we're carrying, especially on an energetic level. It's actually wild how you can feel something's just left me. It's really, really interesting. Um, so I really hope that, yeah, that you start to feel much lighter after this workshop. And if you didn't feel anything during that, um, that is totally okay, because I was doing that work for you. So it doesn't mean that it didn't work. It just means that you weren't aware of it. You didn't feel it. That's totally fine. Let's read what else. Lighter and emotional. I felt sad to say goodbye, but also relieved. Right. Because this part of you is actually just something that is trying to keep you safe. Like, we only engage in these addictive behaviors to keep ourselves safe. It's usually a way to soothe uncomfortable emotions. And we could have picked that up from so long ago, probably childhood, right? Like, and back then we would have had something else that we did. Maybe we like read a book to dissociate or something. There'll be all these different things that we may have done. But it's really, really interesting, just the things that come up. And yeah, that thing usually is just trying to keep us safe. Someone here has also just mentioned that they felt some very dense energy. And so that's why I find energy work is super, super important. And when I work with clients one on one, I really go into what's actually attached, because sometimes it's like something that's living inside of us in terms of like our own emotions and like trauma and shit. And other times it can be external stuff that's attached on. So it's that's what I was working with just then, but that was obviously a very quick energy working, energy healing, whatever you'd like to call it. But in one-on-one sessions, I go a lot deeper, and I would probably do that with someone for half an hour to an hour to really like go through and just see what's attached and what's going on, and clear everything out and bring all the pieces of the soul back as well. So yeah, I hope that you're feeling good after that, and I hope that you continue to feel lighter as time goes on. Someone else has said that they have clear thoughts, which is really beautiful as well. Okay, so I just want to take a minute to remind you that you are not powerless to your addiction. You are so powerful. You have the power to change your life. And if I can do it, so can you. And I really, really want to big you guys up right now, because you showed up today, which is so, so amazing. And I just, the fact that you showed up on a Sunday evening, or whatever the time is where you are, is incredible. Like, you showed up, you said, I desire to change my life, and you took an action to show the universe that you are serious about changing. You didn't just say it, you did it, you took action. And not everyone does do that. And that is amazing. And it's so incredible. And if you're watching the replay, you're also showing up for yourself too. And I am celebrating you all so, so much. Like, you are incredible. You are powerful. You are capable. You are so worthy of becoming that future version of you. Like, this is just a part of your journey. It's not the end of it. And because you're on this workshop, I know that your life is going to change. Like, it's just inevitable. And I really can't wait to hear about all the changes that are coming your way. So I hope that you're feeling really uplifted. If you have anything that you would like to share, like, please send me a DM on Instagram. I'll be more than happy to talk to you about your experience and what came up for you during the workshop. If you really connected with my work today and you would love to dive deeper into all of these things, I have 2 one-on-one coaching spots remaining for this month. And I also have a special offer for anyone that attended this call live that will give you a discount on my one-on-one coaching packages if you sign up within the next week. So I really do believe in creating free content that someone could take and experience huge transformation in their life, like, even if they never work with me again. But when we work together one-on-one, we can go so much deeper into everything, because it's so specifically created to you not a whole group. So if you're interested in finding out more about my one-on-one coaching, then book in a connection call with me. I'm going to send everybody a copy of the replay. And in that email, there will be a link to book a connection call. And a connection call is completely free and it's just an opportunity for us to connect and see if we're the right fit for each other and if I'm the right coach for you. So let me just check. I think I had a few things coming through in the chats. Um, you are so welcome. Thank you so much for coming. I'm honestly, yeah, I'm so grateful that you're all here. Someone has asked if there's another workshop next week. No, this is just a one-off workshop. So if you did want to continue doing some work with me, then definitely book in a connection call. And yeah, I just really appreciate you taking the time out of your Sunday and choosing you and choosing yourself. And I am so, so excited to see how the next chapter of your life unfolds. So thank you so much for being here. And hopefully I will connect with you again soon. Sending you so, so, so much love. Now I just have to work out how to end the meeting. How do I work it out? Bye.